Hello everyone and welcome to AAT Level 4 Internal Controls and Accounting Systems. Today's session is on how to get started. The objectives are different ways of approaching your report. The report requirements. Now, what a case study is, it's an accounting scenario that is scheduled by your assessor. So it's written by the AAT, particularly for people at stage 4 who are not working in an accounting environment. And what we have to do as your training provider is we have to schedule you to do this. So we have to download this from the AAT and you have to then produce the work that is asked for within this case study. Whichever option you choose, however, and we would recommend the work-based one if possible, make sure your topic isn't too wide. Make sure it's not too narrow, because you've got to write between 4,500 and 6,500 words. Make sure everything is up to date. Make sure you include relevant information only, and please ensure and tell your employer that confidentiality will be assured at all times, and that will relate, as you well know, to your ethics module at level 3. So it sort of carries on from there. So firstly, not too wide. So let's take a look at this. Choose one area within your organization. Do not choose the whole organization. Now this is very important. In the past I've seen reports where people have tried to change everything in the organization, and very quickly the report is up to 10 or 12,000 words and they are only halfway through. There will be too much information. So please be careful. Choose a section within the organization. Choose a particular section that may have problems, may need reorganizing, discuss it with your line manager or with a mentor that you may be able to get from the workplace. Pick an AAT student who has recently qualified or someone that has experience. Okay? So think carefully on that one. Choose a topic that is not too narrow. Remember, you do need to produce between 4,000 and 5,000 words. You will need to look at the mapping document in this case. Download your mapping document, have a look at the criteria and make sure that the area you have chosen has got enough information to cover the word count and can cover the mapping, so it can't be too narrow. Make sure everything's up to date. Okay, as I said earlier, things within the last 2 years. Make sure your employment has been completed or you're in the same job within the last 2 years. It's got no relevance to what they're talking about at all. So please, when you do the appendices and when you're writing up your report, keep it relevant. Look at your terms of reference, because you produce those terms of reference, and stick to those terms of reference. If you need to change those terms of reference, then speak to your assessor and discuss it. It's possible, okay? And don't include everything at the back because it bulks the report out. Confidentiality, again, very important. Make sure you do not breach organizational or client confidentiality. Now, what I mean by that is that if you're working in practice, you may get permission off a client to base your report on the client's business. And that is quite possible, and it would be very useful to the client and to yourselves. Now, if this is the case, you need to inform the client first of all to get permission, and you must ensure in writing if necessary that everything is strictly confidential. Summary. There are 3 sources of evidence you can have and use for your report. If you work in an accounting environment, you can use your latest workplace evidence. If you don't work in accountancy, you can use voluntary or any experience gained in the last 2 years, or you could use a case study. You must include the following. Your project must not be too wide. It must not be too narrow. It must be up to date and relevant within the last 2 years. You can use your latest workplace evidence. If you don't work in accountancy, you can use voluntary or any experience gained in the last 2 years, or you could use a case study. You must include the following.